Now, the Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, made a rare but strong stance on anti-Semitism in Parliament today. And it was in response to the outrageous anti-Semitic comments made by the New South Wales Greens MP, Jenny Long.
I condemn totally any form of anti-Semitism, including the comments by my local member, the member for Newtown, whose comments about tentacles with regard to the Jewish community I find offensive. I find it had its origins in anti-Semitism, and I condemn it unequivocally.
Joining me now, commentators Jason Morrison and Sky News host Danica De Giorgio. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
Jason, Jenny Leong's comments were so outrageous. Any other politician would have been sacked for them. She said that Jews have their tentacles in every industry. It took that for the Prime Minister to get up and say that anti-Semitism wasn't on.
And those watching closely that clip also noticed they're putting on the animated head shaking and tut-tutting was Tony Burke, who's also been pretty slow to the front line on this one too. He had nowhere to go. The Prime Minister had nowhere to go but to condemn because it's so abhorrent, as she said. People won't forgive his slowness to the front of this, particularly Jews in Australia. They won't forgive it, and nor should they, because the Prime Minister had an obligation to ensure peace and harmony in Australia, and he let us down at a time when he could have actually really taken a stand.
Look, we've also seen, Danica, the news overnight that Israel has rightly rejected a deal by Hamas. You know, again, Israel's always under this pressure to come to some sort of ceasefire deal. While there are still hostages in Gaza, we learn that some 31, maybe even more of them have been killed. Why is this pressure always on Israel?
Well, that's a really good question. Why is this pressure on Israel? But credit where credit's due to Benjamin Netanyahu. He's saying no to all these foreign powers who are really pressing for him. The US, they're constantly saying, let's try and minimise the situation. Why on earth would Benjamin Netanyahu want to be listening to the United States? I mean, seriously, in the end, Hamas was the one that started this war. They started this war when they slaughtered more than 1,000 Jews on October 7. They're the enemy here. And if Hamas is now coming out saying, well, let's have a truce, we're going to release some hostages, as you said, we don't know how many of those hostages are still alive. The Israeli Times are reporting that 1/5 have died. And in the end, a truce deal with Hamas basically means you're giving up Gaza, and then the problems just continue. It's a revolving cycle. So no, Israel has a right to defend itself and a right to do what it's doing.
Yeah, and good to hear Benjamin Netanyahu say that they will stay the course until victory. However long that takes, won't be weeks. He indicated probably months. Look, big news, of course, this week with King Charles, his cancer diagnosis in the UK. Prince Harry's reported, Jason, to have already gone back to the US. Do you think this indicates that it's not potentially as serious as we thought?
Gee, I hadn't thought about that dimension to it. I think it indicates tragically a terrible breakdown in a family. When cancer strikes families, regular families drop everything, pitch in and support. I guess when you've just written a book, you know, shit-counting your father and his relatives so profoundly internationally and gone out of your way to do it, it's probably got a long way to go to make up. But you may well be right. I hope you're right. I actually hope it's not as bad as it is. The world doesn't need it.
There were also reports, Danica, that Prince Harry didn't tell the royal family that he was actually planning on flying in.
No, I did hear that as well. So basically we've got a situation where the King and Queen, the King's just been diagnosed with cancer and the two of them are supposed to just wait around while the petulant son makes his unannounced visit. Why would you travel all the way from the US to London to stay for 45 minutes? If your father is ill with cancer, why wouldn't you want to extend that trip? Be with him. Help him through this. It just doesn't make any sense. Do we expect anything less from Harry? No. Nothing surprises us when it comes to Harry. Let's be honest.
I got to give him the benefit of the doubt a bit here. I got to give it to him. His father has got a horrible... They might have an appalling relationship, but I would think any person in a situation where you've just blown up your family would try to fix it with that news.
45 minutes, though. Why would you stay 45 minutes?
Probably had a Netflix crew outside. Waiting to...
Probably waiting to film the next documentary,
Exactly.
the next TV interview.
But if you're King Charles, you couldn't trust anything that
That's
you
the
said to
problem,
Harry,
yeah.
and
That's
not
the
knowing it's going to
problem.
end up in a
Yeah.
book. Now, reports today in the Daily Telegraph, Jason, that the upcoming Taylor Swift tour could add some $130 million to the
Amazing,
New
isn't it?
South Wales economy. They say it's more than the revenue from an entire Summer Ashes series. Look, this is good news, you'd normally say, unless there's concerns about inflation.
Oh. Well, we blame her for everything now. I see this is this generation's ABBA. And you know, the ABBA generation had the Beatles. This is their moment. I got young sons who, you know, detest Taylor Swift because you've got to when you're a young boy.
You never, I never hear people admit that.
But I've got to say, I'm so intrigued about this phenomena, and I'd love to actually just look and see who's in the crowd. I did go to a Taylor Swift concert a long time ago when it was screaming little girls. It's not that now. It's
I think
changed.
I was at that one, but I wouldn't go anymore. I couldn't think of anything worse than a loud concert and traffic and trains packed with everyone. I'd rather stay home.
True,
And
look, true, but you know, she is a phenomenon in herself. She is
You
an
need
incredible
binoculars
artist.
to
Look,
see
I will admit, I'm actually not a big fan. I wouldn't know any of the songs, but I don't know, I get swept up in the hype of it all, and I'm quite excited.
Well,
what a great moment for New South Wales.
Look, given I'm a nobody these days, if you guys get free tickets and don't want them,
you take them.
bloody oath.
Well, I do love her music. I just hate the idea of a concert with hundreds and thousands of people.
Fair enough.
Anyway.
Fair enough. Yeah, absolutely.
Jason Morrison, Danica De Giorgio,
Thanks,
thank
Sharri.
you both so much.